Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is the third film in the Conjuring trilogy, or the seventh if we're counting the spin-offs. But no, we're talking about the core Conjuring movies, and this is the third in the trilogy. So The Devil Made Me Do It once again focuses on Ed and Lorraine Warren, again played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They find themselves yet again involved with another paranormal investigation, but this time it is the Devil Made Me Do It trial, in which it was basically the first time in U.S. history in which a man on court used demonic possession as a defense for murder. Now, I really enjoyed the first two Conjuring movies. The second one, I think, might be my favorite. Now, as for the spin-offs like Annabelle and The Nun, I haven't seen them, and honestly, I don't have that big of a desire in checking them out because I heard they're not that great. But Annabelle Creation, I heard, was actually pretty good, and I might check that one out in the future sometime. But the first two Conjuring movies, I think, are very good. Now, I was actually pretty interested in checking out The Devil Made Me Do It. The whole aspect with the court case actually kind of intrigued me a little bit. And after watching it, I was sadly disappointed by it. I wouldn't call it terrible. It's not awful. It's not like, oh yes, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Top 10 worst movies of 2021 for sure. It's not that bad. It's just disappointing. And it's definitely the weakest of the Conjuring trilogy. But right off the bat, the cast is fantastic. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are yet again terrific as the Warrens. They really do carry the series, and honestly, I feel like if it weren't for them, I feel like a lot more people would not be as interested in this series as much. And I thought the opening scene with the exorcism was actually pretty cool, but other than that, that might be all that I liked from this movie. The story just wasn't as gripping as it could have been. The Devil Made Me Do It part of it was probably like the best parts of the movie because it was really cool and it was something new that the series was focusing on. But I was really disappointed because the movie barely focused on that like part of it. It focused on it only at the beginning and at the ending of the movie, and that was it. For the most part, it doesn't focus on it like at all. But it just gets to a point where it just feels like two completely different movies going on at once. We got this one part of it where it focuses on this guy who's possessed and he's on trial for murder and he's trying to use demonic possession as a defense. And we also got this stuff going on with the Warrens and like they're trying to figure out like why all this stuff is going on. And it's just not consistent with itself. Now let's talk about the one thing that I absolutely hated from this movie, and that was the jump scares. The jump scares absolutely drove me insane in this. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, but wait a minute, John. Didn't the other two Conjuring movies have jump scares in them too? So wouldn't you complain about that too? Here's the thing. Yes, the first two Conjuring movies did technically have jump scares in them, but the reason why I felt those movies used them better was because one, they weren't as annoying, and two, they were much more subtle and they actually were used effectively. But in this movie, there's a jump scare at least like every 10 minutes, and it just gets to a point where it just gets obnoxious. And to be honest with you, I wasn't all that scared by it, because I knew exactly how it was going to play out. It's the same formula we've seen in every one of these movies. It's nothing new anymore. There's a character alone in a room, and then there's build-up, and there's creepy, eerie music playing, and then the character thinks he or she's alone, and so he or she's looking around, and there's nothing there, and all of a sudden, blah! The monster, creature, whatnot pops out of nowhere, and yeah, imagine that like every 10 minutes. That's this whole movie, basically. So, without going into spoiler territory, there's a scene in which these characters go to a funeral home because they're trying to find like this dead body. And of course, it is a scary scene. A dead body gets up and it's alive. It's creepy. But honestly, I thought this scene was downright hilarious. I was not scared by this scene at all. It honestly reminded me more of Evil Dead than The Conjuring. It sounds like I'm just trashing this movie. Guys, I want to make it clear. I did not hate this movie. Like I said earlier, there were moments of enjoyment for sure. But this movie just had so much potential, especially compared to the first two Conjuring movies, and they just dropped the ball on this one. It pains me to say that though, because when the first Conjuring came out, it was exciting. It's like that new car you bought. It was refreshing. It was satisfying. But now you look at the current state of the series now, and you're just like, I mean, I see what you're trying to do now, but what else do you have to offer now? I give The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It a 5 out of 10. Now, for anyone who watched my Quiet Place Part 2 review, if you're wondering how my experience was watching Conjuring 3, it was much better. You know why? Because I watched it at the comfort of my own home. Now, for anyone who already has seen The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, what did you think of it? Or, if you haven't watched it yet, what is a current film series that's still continuing that you wish Hollywood would just end already? Oh boy, the comments are going to be fun for this one for sure. Whatever it is, just leave it in the comments below. And if you want to see more of my videos, just be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content.